Good evening and welcome to this week's edition of Happy Hour with Back to Basics Dog Training. Excuse me. So, for those of you who are joining me for the first time or my regular followers, I'm Leon. I'm the trainer here over at Back to Basics Dog Training. And each and every Tuesday evening at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, I bring you this live free dog training Q&A session where no questions are off limits when it comes to the behaviors of your dogs. So if you're watching now live or later on the replay, please put your comments in. Let me know you're watching me. Let me know where you're watching from. The more comments I get, the more pumped up I get, the more questions I get even more jacked up, guys, to help you guys out. So put your comments in. Let me know you're watching, where you're watching from. Hit me with your questions, and let's have a real great Tuesday evening together. Hopefully, helping out our furry family members. And that's my goal. That's why I do this. I do this twice a week. I do Tuesday evenings at 8 o'clock and Saturday mornings at 11 o'clock, both Eastern Standard Time. With that being said, I'm going to get into my subject of the week. And I got a couple bouncing around my head until I start seeing questions come in. So the first one is I actually saw a Facebook memory of mine about an unfortunate incident. A dog that when I was living up on Long Island, somebody left the front door open, the dog took off, and unfortunately the dog got hit by a car and passed away. It was heartbreaking. I remember seeing this post. I remember when it happened. Um, and guys, if we don't take anything away from my Facebook lives, I know I talk about, you know, the energy, the energy, the energy, the energy, and learning how to center your own energy so we can control our dogs. But if you take one thing away from all my lives, is to go to my YouTube channel. I'm going to put that up in the QR code in the upper right hand corner for you guys to scan it. If you scan that QR code up there, it'll take you to my YouTube channel. Subscribe. Find my playlist, How to Leash Train My Dog in 5 Easy Steps, and go to episode 2. Episode 2 is about threshold management. Now, I use it for mastering the walk, but it is more than just mastering the walk. It is teaching our dogs when they're allowed to go out through a door, through a gate, into the outside world. Whoever just scanned the code, thank you very much. Put in the comments, let me know, make sure it worked for you. Um, Threshold management is crucial. Yes, it's about having a calm, controlled walk. That's why I did that video. But threshold management teaches dogs that front door open doesn't mean out, gates open don't mean out, the garage door open doesn't mean out. Any place to the outside world should not automatically represent open, gone. And you got to take that to the umpteenth level. You got to take it to the back doors, to the yard. Every threshold should be a controlled environment for our dogs, and it's so important because you and I both know that a dog getting out, you can be on a quiet residential street. People don't drive 30 miles an hour. Heck, in residential streets, I think it should be somewhat low over speed limit. People fly down, dog comes out, they don't stop, they hit the dog unfortunately gets hurt or worse. So if you focus on one thing to train your dogs, is that the threshold, the front door open does not mean out. And how do you do that? You need to set them up for success. How do you do that? You put a leash on your dog. You go to the door. If you touch that doorknob and your dog is up and ready to go, don't open the door. That threshold, that door has to represent calm. You open the door, you stand back. Doors open, there's access to the outside world. If you have two doors, both doors need to be open. If you have the storm door, just slide a little thing there to keep the door open or have somebody stand there. And the dog cannot pass that threshold. You stand back. I always joke with people when I do this exercise with dogs to teach them to save their lives. I stand back 5 feet and 11.5 inches from the door with the leash, and I let them attempt to get out. And as soon as they get to that threshold, whatever it may be, I give a firm leash correction and with a very firm, calm no or nope or hey or whatever discipline sound we're going to use. I want that dog to think 20 million times before it even thinks about going outside. And the only way it should be able to go outside is if you walk out first and you invite them out and they come out calmly. This saves dogs' lives. Yes, I know it is the way I designed it was to for dogs to understand that they have to walk out calmly for a good walk. But threshold management is so much more crucial. It saves dogs' lives. I cannot stress that enough. So, like I said, if you do anything, just go to my YouTube channel. The QR code's right up there. Click it, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and find that playlist, How to Leash Train My Dog in 5 Easy Steps, and master episode 2, Threshold Management. It will save your dog's life. It will save them from knocking people out through the doorway. It will hopefully the old ultimate goal would represent is that doorway area, that whole area represents calm. Now we can come into the house, we can have our guests come into the house because that area, that boundary right there has to mean calm to the dog. So when somebody knocks on the door and you say nope, and you ask them to move, you can open up your door, invite your guest in, and if you truly work on controlling the threshold, they remain calm. Now they're not jumping on our guests. Now they're not annoying our guests. They're not. But most importantly, they're not bolting out through your guest legs into the street and bam, something bad happens. So guys, please, if I can implore on you anything, I hated reading that Facebook post about this dog that got loose on Long Island and unfortunately became deceased because it was hit by a car. Why? Because somebody didn't control the threshold with the door. Though that is unnecessary, that should never ever happen. And you have to work on that exercise with distractions. People riding bikes, people walking their dogs, people walking past, whatever. You need to practice the threshold management with a ton of distractions that would normally set your dog off to attempt to bolt out. But take it to the umpteenth level. Take it to your gates if you have a fenced in yard. Take it to your garage if you have a garage that leads to the outside world. Any place they can get where it's not safe, you need to really, really focus on those areas. Um, I'm just going on my phone here. Hopefully, I won't get volume, so let me lower my volume because I'm not seeing many comments here. So I'm hoping we start getting some comments coming in soon. I just want to make sure people are watching. Um, again, if we focus on threshold management, that will go so far in helping them live, not get hurt, not knock somebody over on the steps, not. And guys, it is so important. So, like I said, if you do one thing, please go to my playlist, master the threshold. Master. Take that threshold, like I said, to any place to the outside world. Me personally, with my personal dogs, I worked on it in my house up north at the front door, the back door, the side door, the door leading from the house into the garage, from the garage to the driveway, the gates in my backyard. I worked on it so hard with my dogs because, yes, I lived on a quiet residential road. When I first moved in, it was a dead end, but people still go 50, 60 miles an hour down that road. And if a dog bolts out, they are not going to have the reaction time to stop at those speeds. So, to save my dog's life, I focused so hard on threshold management. Um, the other thing I want to talk about is I've been getting a lot of inquiries, I guess, about insecurity in dogs. And apparently, a lot of dogs right now, and I think it's a part of the COVID phenomena, are insecure because they have not been properly socialized. But I've been getting in a lot of younger dogs. So it's not a COVID thing. I think the older dogs, the dogs that are 2 years old, I think those insecurities definitely created because we were all in lockdown during COVID and dogs were not properly socialized. Guys, you need to get your dogs out and socialized in public from a young age. I know the vets will scare you if you get a puppy saying your puppy can't go out. It has to stay in the house. Can't go out. It can catch this. Yes, that can happen. Vets will scare you with that. What I tell you is, if you're gonna bring your dog out in public, be smart about it. I brought my puppies out from 9, 10 weeks old. They're out in public where they're meeting other people, other dogs in a safe, controlled environment. Why? Because I need them to be social. What I did when I brought my puppies out, who weren't up to date on all their vaccines at that point, is I took wipes and I wiped their paws down. I wiped their underbelly down. I wiped their mouth down. I didn't let them sniff a lot of things. I didn't let them put their face in the ground to pick up something they shouldn't. Try to walk on concrete or blacktop if it's not too hot, um, and kept them off untreated type of lawn surfaces. But they were out. They were social. They were seeing cars, bicycles, people, other dogs, squirrels, whatever. They were learning about the outside world. And then as soon as they got up to date on the shots, I just took them every place they can go, um, wherever it was dog friendly. On Long Island, downtown Port Jeff, I went to some of the cafes, sat outside, um, took them to Home Depot, to Lowe's, any place I can bring them where there were other people and other dogs. So they learned that all the nonsense going on around still how to represent calm. They were learning how to be out in public and they were socialized. So a lot of insecurities, especially when dogs are outside, is because they're not properly socialized. Yes, dogs go through a fear stage. They go through two or three of them, depending on what you look up. But our job is to guide them through the fear stage. Um, the more we guide them, the more they trust us. And again, when we guide them through, we have to use my 4 C's of dog training, which is calm, confidence, consistency to get the control. Hello, Phyllis. Welcome. Thank you for joining us again. Phyllis and Junior are watching. We have been continually working on Master and Walk. Junior automatically sits by the door, waits for me. It keeps him calm, and I've been working on maintaining that calm during our walk. That's beautiful. And remember, never rush the process. You know, yes, we put episode 1, we put the leash on the dog calmly. That's great. We get to episode 2, threshold management, and we get through the door calmly. That doesn't mean the whole walk is going to be calm. If at any point Junior, in this case, breaks the calm, we stop, we regroup, and we continue. That was the video I showed last week. I think it was Saturday I showed it. I don't know if you were on Saturday, Phyllis. I don't remember. Customer of mine, Will, with Ace, the puppy German Shepherd that I talked about a lot. Yeah, he learned. He was having problems. He didn't understand what was going on. Ace was doing really good, then doing really bad. And I actually was able to convince Will to look inside himself, see what he was feeling. And he sent me a beautiful video saying they had, in his words, a come to Jesus moment. But it wasn't Ace having it, it was Will having it, where he stopped himself, readjusted the leash, readjusted himself, and then he had a beautiful, calm walk with this, at this point, a 15-week-old puppy that was right by his side, looking up at him for guidance. It was a beautiful thing to witness. Um, and Will is bringing Ace out into the public. I think my next step is I'm going to bring my Zoe over to meet Ace and let Zoe set some of the rules, and that we're going to try to video for you guys so you can see how other dogs correct dogs. And it's gonna, depending on how good Ace is at reading Zoe, it can go really well for Ace, or it can go really bad for Ace. Zoe may growl, may snap at the air, may make these guttural sounds, and that you may hear Ace yelp. Zoe's not going to hurt the dog, but her energy is going to be, "Hey, kid, cut this crap out." And I can't wait to get this on video for you guys. I'm not sure when I'm going to have the chance to do it. I was hoping to do it this Friday, but that's not going to work for me. So hopefully next Friday when Will's home, we'll bring Zoe over and we'll get this thing going for us. But insecurity on dogs is a real thing. I met a gentleman in our complex here. He just rescued a dog that definitely has some insecurity. I mean, I'm watching this dog walk around from a distance, And the tail, the whole walk is tucked, pretty much touching its undercarriage. And this guy's doing a phenomenal job guiding his dog through the complex, through the insecurities. And I had the privilege of being out there with Zoe, and we met them, and what we both observed, and I've said this to you guys before, is as the puppy first approached us, it shut down. I mean, he just, or she, I'm not even sure, shut down and was like, "We're not doing this." Wouldn't look at me. Wouldn't really. Was more a little curious about Zoe, but then I started seeing the nose go because nobody was acknowledging the puppy or the dog. It's not a puppy anymore. The dog. So he started using his nose because nobody was acknowledging the insecurity in him. He started sniffing me, not Zoe, and the tail slowly came out to it was more. It was still tucked a little, but it was definitely more relaxed, which tells me something I've said all along. When dogs use only their eyes, they're not judging the world properly. They need to use their nose. So when you're working, if you have an insecure dog or you have a hyper dog, when they see other dogs, look at their nose. See if they're doing in a calm manner, of course. If they're just doing all eyes, they're not reading the room. So that's why I say it's so important to slow everything down. Slow down, back off a little bit. It's not that important that they meet people. It's not that important they meet other dogs. They need to meet them in a calm manner, but they have to meet them with their nose. That's why, the old thing that we teach everybody, put your hand in front of the dog's face, which I still don't agree with, so they can sniff you first. They don't need to sniff your hands. They need to sniff your feet and work their way up. We got to stop putting our hands in front of dogs, especially over the top of a dog, because if the dog isn't security, that'll be, oh, what the hell's going on? If the dog was ever, God forbid, hit, that motion of our hands could trigger an unwanted memory, and that could lead into a nip or a bite from fear. But slow it down. Dogs have insecurities, no doubt in my mind. I've seen them. I work with them all the time. I don't like when I see them in the younger dogs because what I'm fearful of as a human is, as humans, when we see our dogs fearful, we soothe them. We go to soothe them. It's okay. It's only Leon. He's not going to hurt you. And again, because I talk about state of mind and everything I do, we're reinforcing the insecure state of mind by soothing them. Ignore the behavior. Stop the process. Whatever you're doing, if you're walking and they're showing us, stop. Settle everything down. Go back to calm and then continue. That's the reward. Or when you see the mind calm, when you see that nose start twitching, I can't twitch my nose, but you know what I'm talking about. When you see that, praise them. Good. Yes, that's what I'm looking for. They will gain so much more confidence just by letting them use their nose a little bit. And it doesn't have to be their nose touching me. Their nose can be 3 feet away from me. They're still going to smell who the hell I am. Their nose is powerful. And it's just taking the time to understand what you need to do with them. I think I told you guys last week I had the privilege of working with a 5 or 6 month old shepherd who has not had any socialization. And when I first got out of my car and they had him on a leash, and he was, but he was scared. You can see his tail was tucked. He was just, hey, listen, I'm not comfortable. I don't know who the hell you are. And I stood back. I didn't approach the dog. I didn't do anything. I just stood there and talked to the owner. And I said, well, what do you normally do when he exhibits these behaviors? And the answer was, I turn around and walk the other way. That's avoidance. Avoidance is never going to teach. So what I asked him to do, because the dog was so insecure, he was in almost, I don't want to say a panic state, but if I would have reached for his leash by his collar, it took a chance of me being nipped out or bit. So I asked the gentleman to hand me the end of the leash. He handed me the end of the leash, and as soon as I took that leash, this dog went into full-fledged flight mode. Like, I need to get the hell away. And I just waited him out. I just waited him out, held the end of the leash so he couldn't go anywhere. He tried, he struggled with me, he threw his temper tantrum, and within minutes, he was like, well, that ain't working. What do I got to do? And then he slowed himself down while I had a conversation with the owners. He slowed himself down, and then I started seeing the with the nose, and then he relaxed. And he sat next to me, lifted his head up to me like, did I do good? I praised him. I was able to pet him, and we were moving forward. We were guiding him through his stranger danger and security. And that's what it is. We're just guiding them, teaching them a better way. Because his flight mechanism was strong. He didn't have a fight mechanism. He had a flight. The problem with on a leash, if they have the flight mechanism and they can't get away, then well, the next reaction is going to be to fight. And we don't want the fight. But he didn't feel like he needed to do that with me because once he started using his nose and he started absorbing things, he started reading my energy. My energy was calm, confident, and he just fell into line with me. And I was able to walk him. We were able to do things. Now, I'm not saying he's 100% cured because we stopped for a few minutes. I gave the leash back to the owner. And when I went to go take the leash, the same thing happened. But instead of being, say, 5 minutes, it was a half a minute. And he's like, oh, okay, wait, I'm not allowed to do that anymore. And not once, guys, when I was dealing with his insecurity, did I say no. Not once. I never disagreed with his insecurity. I disagreed with it with my energy. I disagreed with it by not letting him run away, but I never once popped the leash and said no. I let him go through the whole process, and when his state of mind was where I needed it, I rewarded him. I petted him. I praised him. My energy changed. Everything worked in his benefit. So it paid for him to give it up to me. So I hope that makes sense, guys. I'm not getting a lot of comments today, so we're going to wrap it up for tonight. It's my own fault. I haven't posted it out in advance, so we'll get back into that world. Um, I should be live Saturday morning at 11 o'clock. That shouldn't change. I know we got a couple things for the family coming up. I'm not sure if I'm not going to be here Saturday. I definitely will post it beforehand on my Facebook page, and of course, Remember Me Rescues Facebook page. But if there are no comments tonight, we're going to wrap it up a little early because I'm hungry. But with that being said, guys, thank you for inviting me to your home each and every Tuesday evening. It is an honor and a privilege to be here with you. As always, stay healthy, stay safe, God bless, and remember, together we can help one dog and one family at a time. Enjoy the rest of your evening, guys, and we'll see you Saturday.